Hey, what's up? This is TJP, and you're listening to the 3 Count Podcast.
Weighing in at an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even
Dang, hot ass, where'd you find that drag ball at? Now entering the ring.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man who leads you on this mountain up to the summit. You can call me your Sherpa, you can call me your leader. Don't call me your leader, that doesn't work, especially right now. But it's never about me, it's about who's entering the ring. And today you can find this man on Live Pro Wrestling, Wrestle League, Frontline, Square Circle, Mega Stars. He is the Mega Man himself, Shaq Jordan.
Yes, sir. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's good, man? I am super hyped. Thank you for coming on our show.
Yeah, thank you for having me, brother. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we've kind of, so full transparency to all of our listeners and our viewers. We had this plan like last month, and then like it got pushed back a month, and then it got pushed back 2 weeks, and we were like, oh, come on, man. We gotta figure this out.
Yeah, man. Life getting away like that sometime, man. It's crazy.
It really does. It really does. I know I've had to like kind of juggle things between like other with other interviews, because like I had one person, their uncle passed away like the day before the show was gonna start. I had another person, I'd scheduled the interview, and then like the day that we're gonna do the interview, they're like, "Oh, bro, I forgot to tell you, my daughter was born." I was like,
"Oh, wow."
Okay.
Oh, man, I personally feel like that's not something you forget, but that's just me. No, but I understand why he'd forget.
Yeah, I was like
your daughter be born, and then you're not gonna be thinking about, oh, I have a podcast appearance.
I gotta do this interview. Nah. Go take care of your family. I really can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially because like I'm a family man myself, right? So like I have a daughter, and I'm like, yo, like I have to juggle everything, and then so when I tell people I'm pretty flexible, like I kind of mean it, and then like I'll do whatever to help you, like make it easy for you, and I'll rearrange my schedules. It's crazy, man. Life is insane, man.
Yeah.
But how you been, bro?
I've been good, man. Just trying to improve myself mentally, physically. Lost a bunch of weight. Got tired of being heavy. Wanted to do backflips again. So yeah, man, I just been working on myself. Basically, when I haven't been wrestling, I just been when I haven't been physically training, I've been training mentally, basically. Yeah.
That's good. I hear that a lot too, man. Like especially when it comes to like regards to, like the wrestling world, they're like physical reps are great, but mental reps are just as important. So if you
absolutely.
Like doing a move over and over again, there more times than not, you're gonna nail it pretty easily. So I think about that all the time. Well, let's get this thing started, man. I gotta know first question right off the jump. Who is Shaq Jordan?
Man. Shaq Jordan is just a kid from the South Side of Chicago, man. I don't really have much insight to who I am. I'm not really in it. I don't want to say I'm not exciting, but I'm just basically a normal person, man. I just love wrestling. That's all. Grew up on the South Side of Chicago. Both my parents in my life never been arrested, nothing like that. Stayed away from all the badness and the negativity that comes with living on the South Side of Chicago, and just rising above it, man. Just enjoying life, basically. That's just how I operate. I don't really try to let too much bring me down.
No, that's good though, man. Especially with life. I know, like it's funny because you mentioned about the South Side of Chicago, and like the one time I was in Chicago, right? I got lost going back to my hotel room.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. It's crazy. It gets crazier. So I got lost, and I had been drinking. So probably not the best combos, right?
Yeah.
And as I'm like trying to find my way back, like I realized I recognize one of the streets. And so I get on the street and I get right back in, and then I find my hotel room, and I walk in, and there's police everywhere. And I was like,
wow.
What happened? And they're like, yeah, like 3 minutes ago, a guy walked in and got confronted by a hotel guest. And I guess he had a gun on his waistband, and it slipped through, hit the ground, and fired. It hit 3 people because the bullet hit the ground, ricocheted, and like hit 3 people.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was like, had I not got lost, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah. Man.
I was like, Chicago's not. I was like, the first night I was there, it was great. The second night I was there, it was great. Third night I was there, I was like, it's still fine, even though 3 people just got hit. And then the last night I was like, yo, this is awesome. I like walking around, checking out the river and shit. I was like, oh, I love this.
Honestly, the only people who have anything negative to say about Chicago is people that hear about Chicago on the news. It's really a nice city overall.
Yeah, I love Sierra Sour, by the way. I was like,
Yeah.
astounded. And then I went to the Bean. Like, I was like 3 blocks from the Bean, so I went and checked out the Bean for the first time.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, there you go. Millennium Park, man. It's probably the number one tourist attraction here.
Right. It was really, like I said, man, like while I was there, I was having fun. I didn't care. Although I'm not gonna lie, man, my meal was like $30. I was like, how in the fuck is food so expensive? But it's good.
Every single thing about the cost of living here is high. It's ridiculous.
I can definitely relate.
Every aspect of it.
Oh, don't worry. We're over here in Maryland, man, and Baltimore, like crabs. Come on, man. Everybody's like fighting for the best crabs, and they're like, yeah, we tell you they cost like 42 cents for a bunch. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't just get one. You have to get like 40. But all right. So let me know, man. How did you get into the sport?
Honestly, I wanted to be a wrestler since I was little. It was like one of the first like real dreams I had. Like, how most kids are always, you ask a 6 or a 7-year-old kid what they want to be when they grow up. Most of them are like, oh, I want to be a firefighter or a police officer. I was just like, honestly, because I don't want to toot my own horn, but anybody who grew up with me will tell you I was ahead of my peers when I was little. And I would just tell people, honestly, what I would really love to be when I grow up is a wrestler. Then they were like, you want to be a wrestler? I was like, yeah. Like, I want to fight Stone Cold one day. I didn't have any perception of time when I was little. I didn't know how much older he was than me. Like, I want to fight Stone Cold one day. And then they'd be like, oh, okay, that's not an answer I'm used to hearing. But yeah, as I got older, I guess my worldview got more realistic, as it does happen to a lot of people. But I never strayed away from wrestling. I always watched it. I always was a fan of it. I didn't get back into wanting to actually be a wrestler until I got into my mid-20s. I just decided that I would look up a wrestling school. Well, I just decided I would start looking up wrestling schools in the Midwest that I could actually like afford to travel to. Cause man, I wasn't in the best state. I wasn't in the best place financially. I wasn't in the best place financially 4 or 5 years ago when I first started training. So thankfully there were a couple schools in Chicago, and the one I decided on was Chicago Academy of Professional Wrestling, which is on the north side. And yeah, I just went in. I went in and I was like, okay, whatever's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I got injured my first day, like I told you before we started, and but I kept coming back, man. Unfortunately, I was like, hey, sometimes, man, we got to learn how to do this stuff the hard way. You think you know how to do everything because someone tells you how to do it, but you realize you don't really know how to do anything. And yeah, that's how I ended up getting my concussion. But I came back after I was cleared to, and I've been wrestling ever since. But aside from waiting so long to get into it, I've never strayed away from it. I've always been passionate about it. I've always loved it. And yeah, so that's basically how I got into it, man. That's how I got into actually wrestling, not how I got into wrestling itself. I think maybe when I first started watching wrestling, I was maybe about, I was born in 1993. Attitude Era was about 97, give or take. Kane debuted in 98, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I remember about a year into Kane's debut, a little bit under a year, I just remember him getting just wailed on with a chair by Undertaker. And then he would just sit up. And as Undertaker was getting out of the ring, he see Kane sit up and he goes back and hits him with the chair right in the face again. I don't know what day that was. I've been spending like the last maybe a few weeks trying to find what episode of Raw that was. Or it might not have even been Raw. But I just remember seeing that because my father was watching it, and I was like, and I just sat down and watched it, and I've been hooked ever since.
It's crazy, like how wrestling like brings like generations together. It was then like you remember vividly like what happened that drew you to that moment. Because like even for me, like I talk about it a few times on the show. My moment was sitting with my aunt in like 92, 91, 92. And watching Jake the Snake Roberts have a cobra and just watch it bite Macho Man repeatedly while he's on the ropes. Like watching it live for the first time, I was like, what am I watching and why can't I stop watching it?
Right. It's like you just repulsed by it. You like, why are they letting the snake bite this man? But then you like, okay, so I want to see what's gonna happen next though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see it, but I do want to see what happens next.
And I just remember like being involved and just like watching wrestlers and just like seeing different people come through. And like the one constant for me, which is gonna be really funny, is Rey Mysterio was like the dude who really sucked me into the world. And then watching Jericho and Sting and Macho Man and Hogan, and you're watching Austin and Rock and DX and the Wolfpack, like you're just like all these crazy characters, and then you're just sucked in the world after that. And I know a lot of friends of mine who like got out of wrestling. They're like, we're too old to watch wrestling. I'm like, y'all have kids. Get your kids into wrestling. My daughter is a huge wrestling fan, and I'm not afraid. Like, we were like, why would you let her watch that stuff? I'm like, you guys probably let your kids watch way worse things. Like, if you guys are watching Shrek, same point.
Can you give me 1 second?
Yeah.
You see, my issue with it is. Hold on 1 second. Did you get a chance to draw a picture? Sorry about that. That was my brother. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The one thing that confuses me about people saying you're too old to be watching wrestling is like it's not like children wrestle. It's like adult people get paid to do this. Like, so why do you have a problem with adults watching it? You know what I'm saying? Like it's not just limited to kids. They curse every now and again. It's violent. People bleed sometimes. Sometimes they punch you for real. Sometimes they kick you for real. Sometimes you get hit in the head with a chair and you don't get your hand up and you actually get hit, you know?
Yeah, no. I definitely, it tries I can relate because I'm like, I still watch back. I'm like, watch these guys and they're like, we're too old to watch wrestling, but you'll watch The Lion King. And how many times did Mufasa get thrown off the cliff by his
right?
Like, don't tell. And then you introduce that to your kids. Come on, man! Like, get out of here.
Right. Like Lion King is Lion King. It's gonna be the same every single time. Wrestling gives you something different every time you watch it.
Yeah, maybe it's the same guy that you watched like back in 2010. You're just like, oh, check it out. It's Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy. And you're like, cool. I saw them in 2010. But it's a much older version now. And they're like,
yeah,
I'm not moving around as much. Like that. All right, man. So we talked about how you got into the sport. I'm just very curious, man. But through all the training and probably all the shows that you've done, I'm just very curious, like, what's been the worst bump you've taken?
The worst bump I've taken so far, it wasn't really a bump. It wasn't really my bump. The worst bump I've taken so far was I did a diving elbow drop from the top rope to the outside of the ring, and I put someone through a table.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it hurt me more than it hurt him. Because I don't know if it was because I didn't stretch or what, but I got a nasty tricep cramp.
Oh.
So the finish was supposed to be I would hit him with the elbow drop. I would go into the ring and battle and drag myself up the ladder and battle, you know, with the eventual winner at the top of the ladder until he knocks me off. So that was supposed to be my big bump, falling off the ladder. But
Right.
when I put him through the table, I don't know what happened. I just could not focus on that. I thought I tore my tricep. That's how bad it was.
Mm.
I was rolling around on the ground, and and then the promoter who was like outside because, you know, time management and everything, he was like, get in the ring so we can go to the finish. I was like, I can't, man. I can't even move my arm right now. So he's like, Danny, just go grab the title, just grab it. But aside from that, the worst bump I actually took myself was a superplex. definitely knocked the wind out of me because I really didn't know what to expect from it. And my trainer always tells me not to dead cell, but when you take bumps like that and it knocks the wind out of you, you got no choice but to just lay there and try to catch your breath.
Yeah,
it sucks.
yeah, I hear that a lot too. It's funny how you said like don't dead cell. Like I hear that a lot. Like because me being like still like getting in the business is still really learning and stuff like that. Like I have a tendency of like if you like to be real, like if you take 2 choke slams and a chair shot, like you should be dead. Like you're not getting up from that. And people are like, no, you got to keep fighting. You got to keep fighting. I'm like, how does one keep fighting when these things really hurt after a while?
Yeah. Because I'm sure if I fell 7 or 8 feet from off of something and hit concrete and hit something concrete or something that resembles concrete, I'm sure I would lay there.
Yeah.
No matter if my back hurts or what, I'm sure I'd lay there and try to regain my composure before I do anything else. I'd just be dead.
I'm just making the wheezing sounds.
Yeah, that's what I did when I took that. That was my first time taking the Superplex. Like I never practiced it before. I practiced being suplexed before, but I never practiced an actual Superplex.
Right.
So my trainer at the time, his name was Warwick Stevens. I was in the match with him. He so we call he's not the type of guy that goes over he's not the type of guy that goes over a match in the back. He wants to go out to the ring and call it.
Right.
So he tells me to go up. So we both do I don't want to say a double down, but it's kind of like a stalemate, you know what I'm saying? And then he takes a small bump from me. I give him like a power slam or something. And I work the crowd. He go up to the top for a elbow drop. We'll take it from there. I was like, all right, cool. So I go up to the top. I'm thinking he's about to take an elbow drop. So he pops up to his feet, hops up, gives me a forearm right to the head. Man, he old school. So forearm is real stiff. Forearm knocks me loopy, man. I'm just out of there. And he was like, he grabs me by the head. I'll give you a second to catch your breath. I'll give you a second to get your wits about you. I was like, all right, thank you. And then we're up here talking. He's giving me strikes so we can call the next spot. So he hooks me up. He's like, have you ever taken a Superplex? I was like, no. He was like, well, stand up. You're about to take one now.
Have fun.
He's like, just try to land as softly as you can. I was like, what the hell does that even mean? and then we do it, and then he does it. He pops up like nothing happened, but I'm just laying there. I'm just, and in my head, I'm selling my lower back, but physically I haven't moved because I'm trying to catch my breath. Then he's like, don't dead cell, get up. I was like, I thought I was getting up. He was like, don't dead cell. I was like, I'm over here dying, man. I'm trying to catch my breath. Felt like I was pretty sure I broke my back, maybe even punctured a lung. But yeah, it was bad, man. That was the worst bump I ever taken aside from that elbow drop.
Yeah, damn. I got put in the Tower of Doom, and I was the top. So yeah, I definitely know where you're coming from because my trainer was like, do you know how to take one of these? I was like, yeah, just flip and then pray. That's all I really could do. I was like, we're at the point, like I'm at the top. Like you were just now concerned of how I'm gonna land. Bro, we going. Like,
right. Yeah, that's basically what he said. It's just a really high back bump. It's just a really high flip bump. Just try to land as softly as you can.
Yeah, I like that though. What do you mean land as softly as you can? I was like, this is gonna hurt.
That's exactly what I told him before he got me over. I was like, what the hell does that even mean? Like, here we go. The next thing I know, I'm just in the air.
I think it was Kelly that said that like Beth Phoenix told her, oh no, it was Natty, Natalia Hart told, like they went up to do a Superplex and she told her, she's like, I'm just gonna let you know this is gonna suck. It's one of those bumps that you just have to take. And she just like took her over and like Kelly was like, or Barbie Blanks, whatever you want to know her by. Yeah. She said she was like, yeah, and she's like, and I just cried. Like 2 days after that, I just kept crying. She's like, because it hurt so much.
Yeah, man, my back was screaming. Like once the adrenaline wore off, once I got from in front of the crowd and I got to the back, fainted. I didn't faint, but I just passed out at Gorilla like. Like, are you okay? I was just like, I just need to sit here for about 10 minutes to an hour.
Well, from one of your worst bumps, I'm just curious, like is that the hardest of your hit too? Like where you just got knocked senseless, or have you been hit hard?
Yeah. No, I think that was the hardest I've been hit so far, because I don't want to say Warwick wasn't safe. He's just old school.
Yeah.
So old school wrestlers are just really stiff. But
I like to prefer snug. I like to prefer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I hear a lot.
as far as wrestlers I've wrestled since then, they've all been, especially with strikes going, they've all been pretty safe. Except Warwick again. He slapped me. Yeah, he slapped me, caught me right in the ear. So my ear was ringing for about 2-3 minutes. That's about it. It took me back because I used to be in the military, right?
Yeah.
I was in the Army, and at basic training, what drill sergeants would do as a practical joke when you're in the field for a few days, what they would do is, while you're sleeping, to make sure to test your reflexes and what you learn, they would toss a flashbang grenade in your tent while you slept. Because we were just like, it was one giant tent with all the soldiers in your platoon sleeping in that one tent. So in the morning, maybe like this is just to wake us up, by the way. So about 5, maybe 5 in the morning to get us ready. Flash out, just tossing the tent. Flash out before we even got a chance to react. Bah! And we're all just scrambling, trying to get our vision back, trying to get our hearing back. But the hearing loss was the worst part, because it's like you don't know what's going on. And then like that's how it felt when I got slapped. It took me back to that. I was like, I cannot hear nothing out of my right ear. And it was like, it's a good thing we do everything with the left, because I can't hear anything out of my right ear now.
It's those things I like. Yeah, no. For me, I don't think I've ever talked about this, but actually just recently I was at a show, and it's funny because I'm former military as well, Air Force, and
nice.
so I was in my military year, and I was just pants and boots, like that's all I was repping, and somebody in the crowd like pointed me out, and they're like, he was in the Air Force, and so must sound like I have like great structure or something, because when I got hit with this dive, my buddy came flying out of suicide. I got hit, and then I went into the barricade, but the barricade folded, and like I fell, and I just like everything in my lungs went out, and so I get thrown back in the ring, and my trainer was like, "All right, here's what we're gonna do, reverse me and then hit me with the clothesline." I was like, "All right, bet." So like he comes in, boom, I hit him with my clothesline, and the first thing I did, I went back to training, right? I just sat him up, put him in a chin lock, and I was just like, I'm lost. Because I couldn't focus. I was trying to regain my composure. I was like, I'm so gone right now. I was like, my back hurts because I just got thrown into a barricade, and I felt like I was being yelled at by people, and I was like, what happened? When did I go back to basic training? So yes, I could totally relate to like what you're saying.
Yeah, man, that was rough. I was like, man, that was in 2010, and that was in 2010, and then when Warwick slapped me, that was 2018. That was about 2018. I had already been out of the military 2 years at this point. So when he slapped me, man, he literally slapped me back to 2010.
I'm curious though, like, do you find yourself like talking to people, like doing like a knife hand, like when you're having conversations with people, or are you just
no?
Okay.
No, well, I did at first, because whenever I talk to somebody, whenever I have to point, I will point like this, or like this, So I don't know why. I guess I just unlearned that as time went on, and I got back to pointing with one finger like a normal person, like a civilian.
Yeah, no, like I ended up like having a conversation with somebody, and this was like after a show, like just
Mhm.
like the next day, and I was not in the right. Well, I was in the right state of mind, but I just wasn't like in my mind. Like I just had tunnel vision, and I just
Yeah.
got in this person's face, and I just like knife handing them during the conversation about how I wanted to just punch them in the face. It was
Whole
like,
forearm just stiff as a
yeah,
board. Just
figure so straight, he's like bent back. It was like, I was like, yo, we about to go at it right now. I was like, if you don't
right.
get you. So yeah, I could definitely, I can definitely relate. I'm curious though, man. Like, so we talked about your worst bump, we've talked about your hardest hit, but I'm very curious about like what's been one of the hardest things you've had to learn in the wrestling business.
One of the hardest things I've had to learn, and one of the hardest things I have to learn in the wrestling business, honestly, is that you're not gonna please everybody. Like, cause I've only wrestled in maybe 4 states since I started, which isn't bad. But I would go into locker rooms where one guy would have a grudge with another guy from 10, 15 years back. And then there'd be one guy that has a grudge with another guy just because he doesn't like his body language, or he doesn't like the ideas. You asked me what I wanted to do, and I told you some of the things I did, like my comeback and all that, and you don't like it, and you don't like me because you don't like it. Like, what did I do to deserve that? You know what I'm saying? Not me personally, but this is stories I heard from friends of mine.
Mm.
And but yeah, I actually experienced that myself. It's like, because I don't want to say I'm naturally athletic, because I wasn't athletic as a kid. I learned to be athletic as I got older.
Right.
And so I went into training knowing how to do a lot of stuff because I was so athletic. I was like, I never said I wanted to. I never said I was ahead of anybody. I never said I was better than anybody who's been training longer than me just because I can do this stuff. I just wanted to see if I could do it.
Mm.
And then my trainer would do it. My trainer would run some spots with me and see if I could get it down. And it'd take a few tries, but I get it. And then you have some guys who've been wrestling longer than me. Oh, now they don't like me because they think I'm showing them up, and because I think I'm better than them because I'm more athletic than them, or I'm or something or the other. I'm like, that's not true at all. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't know me as a person. You haven't known me as a person long enough to see if you will like me. Talk to me first. See if you can lend an opinion before you make one. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's just one of the things. And then I would be willing to work with somebody and like, yo, I don't drink personally, but you know, we can go out for a drink we go out for drinks after the show, maybe food or something like that. We had a good show. Why do you not still like me? What I didn't do anything to bring this animosity out of you except just show up and wrestle. So it's like, after a while, like the first like maybe year of my career, I was trying to please everybody. And some people didn't like that because they thought I was fake.
Right.
It's like, I'm just trying not, I'm honestly, I'm not fake. I'm just trying not to be that guy that makes enemies where I'm at. Cause you know, if the crowd is good, if the vibe is good in this place, I want to come back here and wrestle again. I don't want you planting seeds in the ear of promoters that like, oh, this guy is fake. Don't book him. He'll smile in your face and talk, and not even you're not even sure that I'll talk about you behind your back. You'll tell a promoter, most likely I'll talk about you behind your back after just smiling in your face. And like, that's not what I'm about at all. But that's one of the things I've really learned. Plus Ron Simmons told me that. Ron Simmons told me that was the entire game before. That was the entire game when he got into the business. Because people hated him because he was like, you know how Ron Simmons is. I never worked out a day in my life. Like, I was just naturally athletic and naturally strong. He's like, I can go drink an entire bottle of Hennessy, and then I can drink 2 bottles of Hennessy in one night and then go to the gym the next morning and bench press 500 pounds. Like, and some people didn't like me because of that.
Right.
You just got to please who you can please, man. You're not going to please everybody. So the people who like you, those are the people who respect you and like you, those are the people you should focus on and forget about everybody else. And ever since he told me that, that's been my philosophy about the whole thing.
That's some great advice, though. Like, just
Yeah.
in general, that's some great advice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, though, too, man. Like, something about like one of the hardest things that you learn. I'm very curious, man, because like, let's be real. Like in today's frame, right? In today's like wrestling, like we're starting to see it become more diverse, right? Just through like the culture and stuff, right? Of wrestling. So I'm curious, like for you, and I probably don't know if I'm the right person to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I'll get heat for it later. But what's it like being a black man, like just working his way through the business?
I haven't really been in a position yet. I'm sure I'll be there at some point, but I haven't really been in a position yet to where I feel like I'm being held back because of the color of my skin. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It's most definitely going to happen because it happens. It happens not even just in wrestling, but in the world as a whole.
Right.
People, not even just black, brown people, Asian people, Hispanic people, Asian, I like saying brown people, Hispanic people, Asian people, they get held back because of the color of their skin. And as far as wrestling goes, I haven't really been in a position where I feel like I've been held back because of the color of my skin. That's another thing me and Ron Simmons talked about. He said, he asked me, because I asked him the same question, how did it feel coming up as a black man in wrestling? He was like, I never focused on my race as a wrestler. I never focused on the fact that I was a black man. I focused on learning how to excel at my craft, and I focused on learning how to create a compelling enough character to where people will recognize me and want to push me to the top because of who I am and what I can do, instead of the color of my skin. And he told me basically not to focus on race where I don't have to focus on it. You know what I'm saying? And like, if that problem comes up later down in my career, cross that bridge when you come to it. But just know how to handle it when you do. But stay humble and know you got to know who you are. You got to know where you're going, and that'll take you far. But I'm sure that issue will come up at some point in my career. But as of right now, I haven't been put in a position to where I feel like I'm being held back because of that. Now, I'm sure I will. And man, I hate that thought so much. I'm sure all black people feel this way. I'm sure they all hate the thought that one day somebody higher than me is going to discriminate against me because of the color of my skin. It's just like whenever I go somewhere and I tell people I'm from Inglewood, I'm from Southside Chicago. Oh, were you in a gang? That's literally the first question everyone asks me. What gang were you in? Were you a Black Stone? Were you a Gangsta Disciple? No, I wasn't in a gang. I was a normal kid. I just grew up on the South Side of Chicago. So it's just I don't like to play into. I'm well aware. I'm well aware of the whole discrimination thing. I don't want to say woke, but I'm well aware of what goes on. But I don't like to dwell on it too much. Like you said, I'll catch heat for this later. I'll catch heat for this myself later. I don't like to dwell on it too much, but I'm well aware of it. But I'm not gonna worry about it where I don't have to worry about it, especially when it comes to wrestling. And like, don't get me wrong, if that problem ever arises one day, I'm gonna take care of it. I'm gonna stand up for myself, because if I don't have anything, I have myself. And nothing is more important to me than my self-respect and my dignity. And I know what kind of person I am. And I know what kind of things I deserve from life. not just because of color of my skin, but because of who I am as a person. Like if like in the way I'm rewarded for that, man. I'll just leave. I don't know if you're religious. I'm not necessarily religious, but I'll just leave that up to the higher power, man.
Yeah, no, I feel where you're coming from. Like I know, like for me, because it's funny how you mentioned brown people, because I'm a Latino as well, and
Yeah.
and I don't. I guess for me it's weird because like, and I say it like this in the sense that like I have light skin, right, and my name is, you guys already know, it's Clifford Miller. Like it's
Yeah.
clear, but like I do have this tattooed, right? So it
Yeah.
shows. Like, and I tell people like, yeah, I'm very proud of who I am and where I'm from, and I'm proud like my other side of my family too that all lives in Panama. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud to tell people, yo, soy Latino, and I'm very proud of this. So, maybe at some point like I might run into that. I don't think I will, just because like I can't tan, so people are gonna be like, the fuck, like so
Right.
it is what it is. And if I ever run across that problem, like I think about it all the time, because like I've had that happen, like where I was at school and people didn't like me because of my mom, and I was like, it's very weird to like, it's something so minute, like, oh, so you can be friends with me but you can't be friends with me because my mom, like that's weird.
Right.
But so yeah, I mean, like in a small token, like I think about that every once in a while, but then I'm like, you know what, like if it happens, it's like whatever, man. I just keep chugging the mission, because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you and I
Yeah.
both being military, like we have missions and we're just focused on the mission. We don't care about
Exactly.
we don't care about who's in a foxhole with us. We just want to do what we gotta do.
Exactly.
All right, man. So I know I've been learning this lesson pretty quickly with a lot of other wrestlers, and I've
Mhm.
been like trying to put it in my life as well. So I know a lot of wrestlers who don't eat before shows, right? Like a few hours before the shows, they won't eat anything, but they always have like a post-match snack and post-match meal. So I'm curious, what is your post-match meal?
Oh man, I eat before a show and after a show, man. Man, when I'm hungry, man, I eat. It don't matter what time of day it is. But but usually before a show, man, I'll have something maybe. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, usually after a show, man, we just go to like a Mexican food place or something, and I order the biggest, most expensive meal I can. Honestly, what whether I eat or not before a show depends on the breakfast I had.
Mm.
Like if I had a decent breakfast that I think could carry, if I had a decent breakfast, I won't eat during the show. I won't eat before a show. I mean, I'll just I'll just power through it until after the show, and then after the show I'll go all out, because I go all out after the show either way.
That
So I'm already gonna drop $30, $40, maybe $50 on food after the show anyway. So I might as well just hold off until after the show. That's rare though. That's rare.
it's funny though, because like you mentioned it, so I gotta ask you, man. Like you said, you're gonna order something from like the Mexican place, man. So what's your dish? What do you look for like on the menu?
Uh, Man, usually I just look for. I can't go wrong with tacos, man. Like I usually order maybe maybe steak, steak or chicken tacos, maybe both, maybe a few steak and a few chicken. Yeah, but I'll mix them up. I can't get enough of steak and chicken tacos. I can't get enough of them. Chicken burrito too, man. Chicken burrito is my jam. And if I'm feeling like my insides can handle it, I might even order a quesadilla.
There you go.
Yeah.
I know it's funny for me, man, because I judge all places by their enchiladas, right? Because I make enchiladas myself, and I can tear the house down with some enchiladas. Like I know I'm great at cooking enchiladas. It's like my favorite dish to make. So I judge everybody's enchiladas by how I make them, right? So if your enchiladas, I feel like aren't par with how I make them, or they're not as good as mine, I won't come back. Like I don't go back to a Mexican. It sounds very conceited, and I realize like saying that out loud is like, yeah, it sounds conceited, but I'm like, no. I was like, because why would I come to your place and make like and pay like $10, $11 for enchiladas that I can make better at home?
Yeah.
Mind you, there's like 5 or 6 spots that we go, like my wife and I, we will go back to that same Mexican spot because I'd be like, look, their enchiladas were way better than I'll ever make them. So I was like, we got to go back and get them.
No, honestly, man, that's not conceited at all. You'd be surprised how many people have that same mentality. Like, I make this at home all the time. This is not as good as the way I make it, and I know that. That's honestly what my girlfriend is.
Nice.
Like, man, my girlfriend throws down in the kitchen. So every now and she loves to cook. So every now and again, when we go out and I order something that she's cooked before, she'd be like, okay, she not one of them girlfriends that take food off your plate just to do it. She just be like, okay, I need to check this because I need to see if this is better than the way I make it. Because if it's better than the way I make it, I don't know how you feel, but I'm not coming back here anymore. Like, if this is better than the way I make that, I should open up my own restaurant.
Facts. Yeah, I think about it all the time. I'm just like, yo, like, so we are at this one spot called like On the Border, which is like it's a big chain restaurant. I recently just heard about them. So anyway, we went over there, and one day they had like all you can eat enchiladas, and I was like, bet there's 6 different flavors. Don't even worry about it. Bring 2 of every one. And I killed all of them. And I was like, yeah, the best one on here was a brisket. I would never thought about making brisket enchiladas. They had a shrimp one. I was like, it's all right.
Yeah. I feel like I could cook it better, but it was still pretty decent.
Yeah, but I was like, the brisket, I was like, yeah, okay. Like would have never thought about barbecue brisket with
Right.
I was like, we could do this. I was like, we're gonna come here. This is what we're getting now. All right, man. So seeing how you've been in the business for a while, I do really want to ask this question. Like, what advice would you give to up and coming wrestlers?
Me personally, I would give it, the advice I would give is to work on a character. Definitely work on a character that could connect with the crowd. Because I truly believe that, with the exception of a few people, character work is kind of a lost art in wrestling. And because it's slowly being taken over by athletic ability and things like that. Like nowadays, it's like the wrestler who gets the most buzz is the one who's the best athlete, the one who can do the most flips and the most lucha libre style, who the most hybrid one, basically.
Right.
But when they get to WWE and they put into this bubble, this system, that's when you really realize that this guy's never really had a character that now that I think about it, he's never really had a personality. Yeah, he can. Oh man, I don't want to say this because I don't want to sound like I'm talking trash about Ricochet or nothing, because I'm not necessarily talking about him, but the example I was going to use is like, yeah, he can do a 630 splash, but it's like when was the last time I heard him cut a good promo? Like I said, not Ricochet. This is just super athletic wrestlers in general. Like, right. When was the last time I heard him cut a good promo? When was the last time I heard him sit in the ring with I want to say like Batista used to do, like the arena is dark and then the spotlight is just on him, or maybe like Eddie Guerrero when he told the story about the whole "I'm your poppy" thing.
Yeah.
When he told the story in the middle of the, like, when was the last time, if ever, this guy hooked a crowd to his promo like that? Like, when was the last time he really let his character shine? He let his gimmick shine. He let his persona shine. So that's because my trainer at Wrestle League trusts me at this point to help younger wrestlers with basics, not advanced moves, except the advanced moves that I'm actually good at, but the basics, drop downs, leapfrogs, verticals, the occasional Luthez press every now and again. But once training ends, because I've ran a whole class by myself, not knowing what the hell I'm doing a few times, but after a while I kind of got used to it. But at the end of training, one thing I would tell the younger students: go home, study, go home, pick a wrestler from the late 80s or early 90s, look up their best promos, and study their character. I'm not saying take their character and make it your own character, but learn how to create a character and learn how to make that character compelling enough that the crowd will buy into it. Because it's nice that you guys want to learn how to do moonsaults and 450 splashes and things like that. But the thing that gets you success in the big leagues and in places like WWE is whether or not the crowd will react to you, whether or not you have a good character. And a compelling character is the key to success in the business. Well, that's the way at least I was taught. I'm trying to work on a character right now. Like I worked heel in a territory at one point. I think it was in Indiana, and I had a Mike Tyson like gimmick. Like I made myself into Mike Tyson, but like a wrestling version. Everything I did was fluid. Everything I did had a purpose behind it. Even though I wasn't like that at the time, because I was only a couple of years into my career, I wanted people to believe that I was a master. That I was a master. I wanted people to believe I was a master at wrestling. It was kind of like, like Steve Austin when he had his what was it, the ringmaster gimmick?
Yeah.
When he was serious, when he was all stoic, I might sound cold to some people, stone cold. That Stone Cold. I like that gimmick. I'm not saying that it was better than what he did down the line, but I like that because that's the persona that I was trying to put over for myself. And it worked a little while. I got the pin, ref raised my hand, I snatched my hand away from him, go back to my corner, go back to my corner, stare down my opponent while he landed on the ground, then get out of the ring, walk to the back, not acknowledge anybody. I went out there with focus on my mind. I kicked this guy's ass. I won. That's what I was here to do. And the crowd really gravitated toward that. I got some decent heat off of that. So that's what I try to tell the students that wrestle where I wrestle, that train where I train, that work on making a really good character. I even give them the new jacket advice. Work on creating something that you've never seen before. Everything's been done in wrestling, so everything's been done in wrestling. So think outside the box. Think outside the box. Go to the outside world and pick just something. It can even be from the news. Hell, it can be from a sitcom. Bring it back, incorporate it into the world of wrestling. Find out what you're gonna do to get it over and get it over. Because if you confident, I feel like if you're confident enough in yourself that what you're doing is going to work, then the crowd is going to pick up on that confidence and they're going to like it as well. because that's what's happened from my experience and the experience of my trainers and everything.
Yeah, no,
So yeah, just character work basically.
I like it. I like it a lot. And you're right. Like it's something we talked about a few times, and it's on like the show and stuff like that. Like people remember, like people know good wrestlers, but people really remember good characters. Like great
Yeah,
characters.
exactly.
You don't really know, like, you know, behind Terry Bolus, right? But you remember Hulk Hogan. You don't really
Exactly.
know Mark Calloway, but you know the Undertaker. Like these guys, like these strong characters that made this presence that moved you. Like people, right now, right? Dwayne Johnson is like the biggest movie star ever, but people remember The Rock. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so you're right. Like
That-
great characters like stick out, and you know those great characters because of something that they did. And you know, like, and Bret Hart, you know, even though he wasn't like the strongest promo person, like he delivers some good promos at times. So
yeah.
I definitely feel where you're coming from about that. Like great characters is definitely like needs to be brought back.
Yeah, that's honestly what I was explaining to one of my girlfriend's friends yesterday, because we had a barbecue at her house. She had friends over. Her mom and her dad had friends over, and he was just asking me a bunch of questions about wrestling, because he was interested in it, but he never really like fully got into it, but he was interested in it. And he asked me what my favorite aspect of it was. I was like, psychology, character work, period. End of story. Like that's gonna be my number one answer every time. And I told him about Jake the Snake Roberts. I was like, you can ask anybody he wrestled with. Jake never went to the gym a day in his life, but you would see him backstage. He would get into his character. I was like, you like anybody who's wrestled with him will tell you stories. This man would be in the back. This man would smoke half a pack of cigarettes before he goes out and wrestles. And he would go out and he would hook the crowd in like no one you've ever seen before. Like you would make him literally think he was there to kill you, to kill you. And that's one. And Jake the Snake was like one of my favorite wrestlers ever off of that alone. Right. Like he wasn't the most athletic guy around, but I guarantee you he can hook you in and make you believe what he was doing.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. You're definitely right, man. Like you said, great characters is definitely that aspect that like draws you in. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is my last question before we get into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast, which is I need one do and one don't of the locker room.
All right. One do. Shake hands. Introduce yourself to everybody in the locker room. Put that vibe out that you're a professional. You're here to do a job. You're a professional. That's all you got to do. Endear yourself to everybody. Like I said earlier, you're not gonna please everybody, but guess what? They're gonna know you're a professional because you act in a professional manner. Do not come into the locker room thinking wrestling owes you anything. I know plenty of I've met plenty of guys over my short career that thinks that just because they have held an independent wrestling championship that wrestling owes them a living. Like I'm just like, don't get me wrong, you've been doing this longer than me, but last I checked, wrestling don't owe you anything. You owe wrestling everything. This is what you want to do. You gotta pay respect to it every single time you do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like so you come. I personally feel like you come into a locker room, and honestly, this is one of the reasons why the guys at Wrestle League. I don't want to say they made me a locker room leader, but they kind of look to me as a future locker room leader. I don't consider myself one now,
right?
Because I'm like, I haven't been wrestling long enough I've been wrestling long enough to be even considered to be in the upper echelon of anything. But I know what to do. I know how to pay respect to what you do. And whenever I feel like it's disrespectful to I feel like it's disrespectful to this sport to think that just because you've been doing this for a long time that it owes you anything. Like, you can get a bump in pay or whatever, but that's just money, man. You know, if you got true respect, if you got true love and true passion for this business, you will respect every aspect of it, no matter what. That's just how I feel about it.
And you wouldn't be wrong.
What'd you say?
And you wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's and that's really great advice. It's just for life anyway. Like,
always
always try to introduce yourself to people. Like, you don't have to be like overly friendly, but at least be professional. That makes sense. And then even like afterwards, like, don't act like people owe you something because of what you're doing. Like, no, you have to continue to like prove yourself all the time. Like, so just be, don't act better.
Yeah, that's another thing I told to the students that train at the school I go to now. I'm like, always know there is a difference. There is a big difference between knowing your worth and having a sense of entitlement. So,
oh man.
So you can go to a different promotion and they offer to pay you. Like if you think you're worth like $200 and they offer to pay you like $75 and you think you're worth more than that, by all means speak up, but don't be like, I took this job as a favor to you. You owe me this money. Like, man, I should be competing for the top title. Why? You know, like it's great that you think that you're worth more than what you're being offered. But then again, don't especially if a promoter's never heard of you. They'll be like, who is this guy talking about? I should pay him 3-4 times more than what I personally feel he's actually worth. You know. So that's what I thought. I was like, learn the difference and apply it, not just to wrestling, but to your everyday life. Know your worth, but don't toe that line between knowing your worth and having a sense of entitlement.
Right.
Because you'll never get anywhere. You'll never get anywhere in life with that mindset. You'll definitely never get anywhere in wrestling with that mindset.
It's true. It's definitely true. But those are my heavy hitting questions, but we do have the second best segment on this show, which, everybody asked me what's the first. And that is the Red Dogs Power Rankings that you can find every Sunday on our debate show, or you can find it on Mondays on, on our IG or on our TikTok, which, I think they're fly. Anyway, this is the 3 Count Podcast, 10 count questions. Mr. Shaq, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. Whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
Oh, man, the pressure's on.
Yep. So we're going to put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
All right. Favorite movie?
Pulp Fiction.
All right. Here's the real twist. Dyson or Topo?
Dyson.
I mean, there's no wrong answers, but all right, man. Favorite color?
My favorite color is red.
Batman or Superman?
Oh, man. Oh, my God. No, not this one. Superman.
All right. Favorite Scott Pilgrim fight?
Oh, Scott Pilgrim versus Lucas Lee.
Let's go. Mario or Sonic?
Mario, hands down.
All right. Favorite podcast?
Favorite podcast would probably be, honestly, Bill Burr, the Monday Morning Podcast.
Okay. I like that one too.
Oh, love it.
All right. So nominate one person that you want to see on this show.
One person I want to see on this show is Triple D, Christopher Dixon. Drake Dixon, but his real name is Christopher Dixon.
All right.
He probably gonna lay into me for putting his shoot name on the air, but my bad.
It's all right. We're going to reach out anyway. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this podcast, favorite curse word.
Man, lately, man, I've been dealing with so many difficult people. I've really embraced the C word.
Challenge.
But seriously, my favorite curse word is definitely the F word.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it because my mom's my mom's over here, so I don't want to say it out loud.
yeah. No, don't worry. We got you. Friendship. Okay, that's the word. Okay, friendship is F word. So.
Perfect. I love that. Fun. SpongeBob.
Fun. Was it, do you just be like, you could do like they do on Family Guy, where you just like, fuck. No, it's French for seal. Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh man.
All right, well, that's the 10 count questions. So all I need now is for you to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Oh man, you can find me honestly, you can find me cruising around Chicago. But as far as wrestling goes, man, you can find me at Wrestle League. You can find me lurking around maybe Warrior Wrestling, helping with ring setup every now and again. AAW helping with ring setup there, Marionette Park sometimes. Freelance, I'll be helping out at Freelance sometimes at their shows whenever I can. But mainly I just be at Wrestle League. I also hang around Wisconsin, Wisconsin Pro Wrestling. But I'm trying to get my name out there a little bit more, so hopefully y'all will know me everywhere.
Yeah. Also, y'all can find him all over his social medias too, because he'd be posting all sorts of stuff out there.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, my art too, man. My when I'm not wrestling, when I'm not wrestling, man, I'm sketching.
I see that. That's why I was like, yo, like my man's got this killer IG going on right now. So if you guys will follow him, you guys will see it's pretty awesome. Actually, that's why I pulled a lot of questions from too.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
All right, man. But this is it. This is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And as I said, I am your Sherpa, the man who leads you up this mountain of this thing called wrestling, Clifford Red Dog Miller. But it has nothing to do with me. It's about who's entering the ring. And now entering the ring, you see him right here. He is also a veteran, so you got to give the big shout outs there. He is Shaq Jordan. And you know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there. Or you just wait till this episode ends, till the outro plays. And I'm sure one of our episodes is going to play right after it.
Oh, yes.
Peace.
Looking forward to it. All right, take it easy, man. Thanks for having me on.
Later. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3 Count _ pod. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm / the 3 Count podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com / the 3 Count pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.